Howdy guys, today we're going to cover 1-6 solving multi-step inequalities, which we talked about on Friday, September 4th, 2015. We'll be going over examples 1, 2, and 3. So here we go. The essential understanding for this topic, what you need to know by the end of this topic, 1-6, is you can solve a multi-step inequality in the same way you solve a one-step inequality. Use properties of inequality to transform the original inequality into a series of simpler equivalent inequalities. So pretty much the same way you solve an equation, you solve an inequality. Exact same way. There's just one little teeny weeny change, but it's not too difficult to understand, promise. Okay, so here we go. For an equation, don't forget, equations use equal signs. Okay, but something different with inequalities. In equality, we have four symbols. The less than sign, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay, those are our four inequalities. Alright, so here's example 1. What are the solutions of 9 plus 4t is greater than 21? So like I said, you solve the same exact way you would an equation. So first we need to isolate the variable. So circle the term with the variable, so positive 4t, and get rid of whatever's on the outside, this positive 9. Since it's positive, the inverse operation of plus is subtraction, so we need to subtract 9 from both sides using the subtraction property of inequality. Okay, so that'll add to 0, bring down your 4t, and then 21 minus 9 is 12. Next step, we divide by 4. 4 over 4 becomes 1, so 1t is greater than 3. And that was using the division property of inequality. Alright, and so then t is greater than 3. Now it does say check your solution. So if t is greater than 3, let's choose 4, because 4 is greater than 3, and plug it into your equation, your inequality, and see if it's true. So we're going to have 9 plus 4, instead of t, put a 4, is greater than 21. 4 times 4 is 16, so 9 plus 16 is greater than 21. 9 plus 16 is 25, which is greater than 21, so our inequality is true. T is greater than 3. Example 2. Alright. In a community garden, you want a fence in a rectangular garden that is adjacent to your friend's garden. You have at most 42.8 feet of fence. What are the possible lengths of your garden? Check the reasonableness of your answer. Okay guys, so we're trying to put a fence around a garden. So the outside of a rectangle, pretty much the perimeter. The fence is a perimeter. So we need the equation of the formula for perimeter, which is P equals 2L plus 2W. Alright, now the largest our perimeter can be is at most 42.8 feet. So we have at most. What the heck does that mean? Well, let's go and think about it. If you have at most 42.8, you can't have less than, if you have at most 42.8, you can't have more than that. Okay, so it cannot be a more than inequality. And you can't have more than, but that means you can have less than. So it'll be a less than inequality. So less than. And you can still have 42.8 feet. That's the max you can have. You can't have more than that, but you can have less than or equal to 42.8. Now notice how the inequality is opening towards the number. It's opening towards the 42.8. So in your equation, when you write the 42.8 as your P, as your perimeter, on the left side, so 42.8, the inequality still needs to open towards the number. So it's going to open the opposite direction. So how you'll read it is 42.8 is greater than or equal to your equation, your inequality. So first off, 2, and then it's asking what are the possible lengths. So we don't know L, so just go ahead and put L. Plus 2W, but instead of W, look, it gives you the W as 12.3 feet. So instead of W, put 12.3. And now we can solve for L, the lengths, well, the possible lengths. Alright, so here we go. First step we do is multiply anything that can be multiplied. So we have parentheses here and a 2 on the outside. So 2 times 12.3 is 24.6. Okay, now we still need to isolate the term with the variable in it. So we need to subtract 24.6. That'll add to 0. 42.8 minus 24.6 is 18.2. So 18.2 is greater than or equal to 2L. And last step, we need to isolate the L first. Still. So divide by 2. That'll divide to 1. So we have 9.1 is greater than or equal to L. But I don't want to read it that way. I want to read it where the L comes first, the left to right. So let's have the L come on that side. So L. And remember, the inequality needs to open in the same direction as it does towards a number. So as you see, we have the L in our 9.1, and inequality opens towards the 9.1. So it'll be a less than or equal to symbol. So L is less than or equal to 9.1. Oh, and we used feet, so it's going to be feet. So the length of your fenced-in garden can be 9.1 feet or less. Okay, and then last example, example 3. This is where that little bit of information comes into play, the division property of inequality. So let's go ahead and figure this out. What is the solution of 3 times t plus 1 minus 4t is greater than or equal to negative 5? So again, solve it the same exact way you would an equation. So we have a parentheses, and we have a number on the outside. So distribute using the double arrows. So 3 times 2 is 3t. 3 times 1 is 3. Bring down your minus 4t, greater than negative 5. Okay, now, as you can see, we have two variable t's on the left side. So we can combine those, combining like terms since they're on the same side. So 3 minus 4 is negative 1t plus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 5. Next step, we still need to isolate the t. So circle the term with the t and subtract whatever's next to it. So minus 3. Let me write the rules here. So this was distribute. This was combine like terms. And this was the addition property of inequality. Okay, so then we'll have, that'll add to 0. We're going to have negative 1t is greater than or equal to negative 5 plus negative 3 is negative 8. Last step, we're going to divide by negative 1, determine the coefficient in front of t, in front of the variable, to have it divide to 1. But this is where it gets tricky. So let's go ahead and pause here. Let me write out this rule. The division property of inequality. When dividing by a negative coefficient, flip the inequality symbol. Okay, so the division property of inequality. When dividing by a negative coefficient, flip the inequality. And the same goes for multiplying as well. When you multiply or divide by a negative coefficient, you flip the inequality. So here's some examples. If you have a less than symbol and you're dividing or multiplying by a negative coefficient, it flips to greater than. If you have a less than or equal to symbol and you divide or multiply by a negative coefficient, it flips to greater than or equal to. And vice versa. Greater than or equal to flips to less than or equal to, and greater than flips to less than. So back to our example. We had negative 1t greater than or equal to negative 8. We divided by a negative 1 coefficient. So that means we have to flip our inequality to a less than or equal to. So that'll be t is less than or equal to 8. And that's the solution. Okay? Thanks for watching. See you all in class. Bye.